Hi, welcome to this episode of Thai Food. For this episode, I'm going to make ground beef tacos. I'm going to basically do my spin-off of an authentic Mexican beef taco. The recipe is going to be mostly the way they make it in their restaurant. I'm adding a couple things that I think will help the recipe out a little bit better. But I've got this heating up. We're going to get this probably about 325-ish. And get this heating up here. I've got a pound of regular ground hamburger. You can see by the redness of it that this is an unseasoned package of it. And I was trying to find two that way, but I couldn't, so I got another one that's probably a little over a pound. Looks like it is. Probably about 1.25 pounds of seasoned ground beef. And you can use whatever ground beef you want, or you can use tiny cubes. It's up to you. But I'm going to go ahead and get these opened up so I can get them in the pan here. It's starting to get warm finally, so just go ahead and slice these open. Like I've mentioned before, I buy my ground beef in bulk. Most of my food I try to buy in bulk because it's cheaper that way. Go ahead and, yep, you can hear the sear as it goes in. Well, there's that. Let's get this one in. Okay, I said in. There we go. Give my hands a quick wash while that's searing on the one side. And then we'll start dicing it up with the spatula. Alright, I'm going to crank this up as high as it'll go now. Get this started cooking. Now, the seasoned burger pretty much just has some of my black gold and some roasted garlic mixed in with it. That's about all I do when I season it. So, it's nothing fancy. You know, most anybody can have it except for the black gold. You know, if you've got an anchovy allergy, I don't recommend you use my black gold, seeing as one of the main ingredients is Worcestershire sauce, and that is anchovies. So most of the Worcestershire sauces have anchovy in them. There are some that I've seen that don't, but the anchovy is what gives you some saltiness and some umami flavor. So that's kind of why I stick with it. Now, it doesn't really matter about having the skillet screaming hot. I mean, if the burger kind of boils in its own juices, that's more to your advantage at this point, because when we add in the onion, it'll help the onion get flavored through with the ground beef. And then towards the end, I've got 2 cloves of garlic. I've got one kind of a medium onion that I gave a chop to. So, just to give you an idea of, you know, what sizes you're looking for, and I got 2 cloves of garlic that I kind of, you know, gave a rough chop to. Kind of a coarse chop, not really anything fine. I didn't mince it up. So I'm just trying to get this broken down into the size chunks that I want. It's easier to do it now than after it's already starting to cook. As long as you got a nice stiff spatula, that works really good. I can hear the moisture starting to come out of this. I'm going to take this moment to grab some salt and pepper for this. Thank you. Got some smoked sea salt here that I'm going to use by McCormick's. I don't want to add too much salt in there because when I add in the soy sauce later, there's some saltiness that's going to get put in there from that. Go ahead and add some black pepper in. Well, actually, it's a pepper medley in my grinder here, but not everybody has pepper medley, so just black pepper works for you. Unless you want to go out and buy it. Up to you. If you do buy the peppercorns, though, you want to get a good quality pepper grinder. And I've got a Stone & Mason, I believe it is. Cole & Mason, sorry. It's a Cole & Mason. I found this on Amazon. It wasn't cheap, that's for sure. I believe it was like $40 just for the one. But I could put that link at the bottom of this video for you if you're interested, so that you can check it out. But the reason I got the Cole & Mason is I did some reviews on it, you know, looked at some of the reviews and discovered that it would go as fine as I wanted it to, because I don't like a coarse pepper unless I choose for it to be coarse. I wanted it to kind of powder my salt, so to speak. And it pretty much will do that for me. So I'm very happy with my purchase. It was hard to find one that would do that wasn't $70, let me tell you. Prices of them I thought were kind of outrageous at the restaurant supply store, but that's what you get. You know, they figure you're going to have a fancy high-end restaurant if you're putting that on the tables, so therefore they figure they can charge more, I guess. Don't know. But pretty much got this at the stage where I want to add in my onions now. So we're going to go ahead and add in the one medium to large chopped onion we got. And if you want to put less onion in, you can. You could go with a half a large onion. But I like the flavor it's going to impart on this. So that's why I'm going with the whole one. And again, I did a lot of research on this before I, decided to make it. I like to have some knowledge of, what they would put in their ground beef at the restaurants to make it taste the way it does. Because it doesn't taste like you open one of the Old El Paso packets and poured it in here. Not by any means. That's always like heavily seasoned when you do that, I've noticed. Not that I don't like it, it's just that's more of a Tex-Mex, and I want to go more Mexican. I seem to like the flavoring better. Especially at our local Mexican restaurant, who happens to do Taco Tuesdays there, and you can get tacos for $1 a piece, which is a lot better than going to Taco Bell, in my opinion. I've also tried Mighty Taco, and I was not impressed by them. Some people love that restaurant. That's more of a Buffalo type restaurant. I think there are some locations in Rochester as well, but I tried it once, wasn't impressed. Taco Bell was okay. Again, just something to fill you. Nothing I was impressed by. So we got this skillet as high as I can go at this moment, so it's just a matter of getting the liquid out of it and getting it down to where it's just the fat. And then if we've got too much fat, I've got my little screen colander here that I use to strain the fat out of the meat. But you want to make sure you're just straining the fat. You don't want to strain too much of this liquid off the ground beef, because that's flavor. So we're just kind of boiling it in its own juices at this point. Much like we boiled the chicken for the pulled pulled chicken tacos. We're just kind of boiling the ground beef here. Not really going for a heavy sear. Not yet anyways. That'll come after I strain some of the fat off. I'll probably give this a high sear. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and pause the video while I get this liquid, cooked out of this and get it to where I want it. And then we'll come back to you. Alright, welcome back. I've got a good amount of the liquid reduced down, and at this point I want to add in my garlic. Now I waited a little bit to add in the garlic because I want the garlic flavor to be, a bit pronounced in this without going too overboard. And since I'm not really sauteing it, I don't have to worry about the garlic getting browned or burnt and becoming bitter. And I want to make sure I get enough good garlic flavor into this ground beef. And it doesn't look like I got a whole lot of fat at the moment, but like I said, there's still a good amount of liquid in this. So just keep moving it around, because basically this has got a horseshoe of an element in it. So it's got a hot spot that runs right around this area. So I want to keep moving the burger around so that it gets consistently broken down for the most part. Because that's basically what's happening, is you're cooking it to an extent that it's going to break down and become nice and almost mealy, fine. Almost like a Taco Bell meat consistency, I guess you could say. Trying to get an idea here if I should starting to thicken up quite a bit, so I'm thinking I'm probably going to have to strain the beef, because I definitely don't want that much fat in this. Getting to a point where I can see I've got a lot of fat. So definitely going to have to run this through the colander and separate the fat from the burger. When it goes from kind of like boiling to like frying, then you know you've got most of the liquid evaporated. Right here, right now, it sounds like you got when you first put your food that's got a little water on it into the deep fryer, and it kind of pops and snaps. That's what we got going on right now. That's how I can describe this sound. So you know the water's pretty much getting cooked out of it, and we're basically down to the beef fat, which is where we want to be. Hence the reason I added the garlic when I did. Because now it's getting cooked in and the beef's going to really absorb that flavor. So this is a little bit of a lengthy process, but if you want a good quality food, it's going to be worth it. I mean, them pulled chicken tacos, I made them, the first time I made them I did the video. I'll admit, I didn't do a pre-test on that one. I just went ahead and with the video. And then I made them again just this past weekend when I actually posted the video. And I perfected the recipe, and I posted it with the video on my YouTube page. And that may have hindered all the views I was getting, because I didn't get a whole lot of views for it. But that's okay. You know, I wanted to make sure everybody got a good updated recipe for it. So this one I'm going to make you watch the video to get the recipe, because I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of tweaking going on after I'm done with this one. Kind of flatten it out here. You can hear at this point, it's more of a sizzle, you know, like I'm doing a hard sear to it almost. So you can tell pretty much liquid's evaporated at this point, and we're pretty much just down to the fat. Now it's going to be one of them things where you'll strain the fat out, but keep it close by because you might want to add a little bit back in. You never know. Because there is going to be a lot of flavor in that fat. But usually I get it strained just enough so there's still some in there and we're still good to go. Like I said, I just want to get it a little bit longer, not a whole lot. And I got this skillet as high as it'll go. So probably if I was on the stove back there, I would definitely have a lot more power to work with. And I could probably get it screaming hot a lot better. Without too much trouble anyways. But that's okay. We're getting there. Gotta have patience when you're cooking, otherwise you make a mess, and you see me do that quite a bit on my videos. But I think I'm right to the point where I want to be at this moment. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to turn my skillet off here, unplug it, keep moving this. You can hear it calm right down. Alright, I can actually hear myself now. So at this point, I want to start putting the burger in here to strain it out. I think I threw some on the counter in front. Yep. I always tend to throw something somewhere, don't I? It happens. So, I want to get this piled in here so I can strain it out. I don't think that's going to work so well for me. Still got too much in there. Standing here looking at it going, yeah, that's going to make a mess. Starting to wonder if my strainer's big enough too. It's the only one I got, but it'll have to work. I can hear the fat dripping underneath. I'm sure you can see it better than I can. Well, it is kind of cloudy in there, ain't it? Let's see if maybe I can do this now. One-handed. I don't recommend doing this unless you got a good, strong, firm grip. Alright, while that's straining, I'm going to grab a towel and kind of wipe up the fat on the outside here of the skillet. Don't need that going down to the element and causing a fire on me. Wouldn't that be a show? Alright, so at this point, that should be strained good enough. I'm going to go back into the skillet. Just like so. And it doesn't look like there was a whole lot of fat in that. I think it was more liquid, but it sounded like it was mostly fat when it was frying to me. So that's why I did this. Put that there, and we're going to get this plugged back in and turn back on. There we are. I don't need to go quite as high now, so 325 should do it for me. And at this point, I want to add in some of the spices as soon as this starts getting back heated up again. Okay, I can hear it coming to a sizzle now. So, we're going to do 1 teaspoon of oregano. And I kind of want to crush this up. We're on the downward spiral now. Okay, so there's the oregano. Now we got chili powder, or chili seasoning mix by McCormick's here. We're going to do 1 teaspoon of that to go with the 1 teaspoon that we already had in there. And smoked paprika, 1 teaspoon of that. Alright, and that's it for that. Now I'm going to do 1½ teaspoons, or half a tablespoon, of my ground cumin. And there we go. Let's get this mixed in. You can hear we're getting a good hard sear on this now. That's where we're going to get some little crispy bits up until the point we add in the tomatoes. And that's what I want to do next, is 1 can of diced tomatoes with green chilies. This is going to add a little bit of heat in there and a whole lot of flavor as well. And juice and all, go right in with it. Don't be scared. And this is where I'm going to get a little off the beaten path. Half a teaspoon of your favorite soy sauce. And I just happen to have a mushroom soy sauce. It's a dark mushroom soy sauce. This isn't, I'm not a big fan of this brand. I'm just trying to use it up at this point. There's another one that I've got that I really, really like better than this. And I just went to an Oriental store to get it. You know, wasn't hard to find. There's Oriental stores all over the place. And I've got a little vegetarian base here. This one was compliments of my mother. I'm not sure where I'm going to find it down here yet, but I'm sure I'll find some somewhere. And I'm going to do a half a teaspoon of that, just to give it a little more flavor and some little more saltiness into this. And that'll mix in with the liquids that are in there and get flavored through. And the reason I'm not mixing that with water, because we already got the water in here from the tomatoes. So we don't want to add any more liquid at this point. We want to kind of cook what we got and get stuff to flavor through. If I need to add some liquid from the measuring cup here, I will. But it sounds like we're pretty good at this point. Try to get my corners incorporated. And get the tomatoes heated up and cooked a little bit as well. Now, obviously, I've got members in my family who are allergic to tomatoes. Just opt out the tomatoes. You don't need to put them in there. That's totally, it's in all the recipes I looked up, yes, but I'm sure you'll survive and have tacos without tomatoes, no problem. Just kind of opt it out. See what we got here. Yep, there's just a little bit of water on the bottom of that. That's mostly fat, so I'm glad I strained that off. Now that it's settled, I can see, you know, I drained off a good amount of fat there. Definitely didn't want that in the tacos. I don't mind if they're runny because of the juices, but not so much from fat. And then it's just a greasy feeling. And this is pretty much it at this moment. About all we need. I don't think we need to let this go much longer. Now, this is something I would recommend making the day before and then letting it rest, because the burger is going to season through more than it is right now, and it'll be so much better the next day. But this is actually dinner tonight for us, and it smells absolutely amazing here. So I'm going to go ahead and kick the heat off. I've still got some moisture in here, but this is where I want it. So I'm gonna take a brief pause here while I let this rest and flavor through, and I'll be right back to build a taco. Okay, so we let this rest about 5-6 minutes roughly, just enough so it flavor through and cool down. Let's build ourselves a taco. And build it any way you want. Whatever you enjoy for flavoring. Me, I like to put some sour cream down on the bottom and just spread it out. That's the way I like to do it. Then I'm going to come in with my taco mix. You can be finicky if you want. It's your taco. Nobody's going to take that away from you. And I got some Colby Monterey Jack shred here. Usually my go-to is like a seriously sharp cheddar, but I decided to mellow it out a little bit because in the Chinese restaurant they don't put anything really sharp for cheese on there. And in this we have some shredded lettuce. Now, I bought this at Sam's Club for $2 for 2 pounds of it already shredded. And to make it last a little bit longer, you just put it in an airtight container and put it in there with a paper towel to keep the lettuce dry. And apparently my daughter's asking my wife a question. I'm sure you can hear her on the video at this point, but I know she's hungry. I'm trying to hurry this up. And I'm going to put a little bit of salsa on there. Just a drizzle. I don't like to overpower it with salsa. But what this is this is a roasted salsa verde, and this is the new labeling. I used to get it and it was in different labeling, but so that's what we got now, and there we go. And then however you fold your taco is totally up to you. So I'm just going to do a quick fold like this, and let's see how I did. Oh yeah. Just like what I get at the local Mexican restaurant. Perfect. Thanks for tuning in. Check out my Facebook page, Facebook group, Thai Food. Check out my Instagram, Thai Food on YouTube. Twitter is Thai Food. And have a good one. Don't forget to subscribe.